Welcome. I'm Lynn Stansberry Brusnahan, and I'll be explaining the Special Education Field Experience Documentation Form in this video. Start this Field Experience Documentation Form right when you start the program and put it in a handy location that you have easy access to so that as you progress through your program, you are filling this out. Start by putting in your name, your USTID number, and you'll notice anywhere that you need to fill something out will be highlighted in green. The date you will be uploading this document to the TK20 assessment system is when you apply for clinical practice. All right, let's talk about field experiences and what the requirements are for teacher licenses. Well, if this is your first Minnesota license, you have two different field experiences in which you'll be completing. The first is your general education field experiences, and the second will be your special education experiences. Let's talk about that first experience for those of you who this will be your first Minnesota teaching license. You are required to complete 60 hours of field experience in general education. And you'll be completing that in two field experience courses. Those are teacher education graduate level courses 511 and 532. And in each of those experiences, you are required to do 30 hours of field experience. For the special education license, you must complete 40 hours of field experiences across your license grade levels. And these experiences, as opposed to the others, are in the special education setting. So as an example, for an ASD license, these requirements for your field experience have to mirror the age level that the license allows you to teach in. And for example, autism, it's birth to 21. So you want to make sure you have experiences in early childhood, elementary, middle, and secondary if you are completing an autism license. Now, each of your disability areas will have a special education field experience 3 that's designated where you have to have a supervised experience. And for autism, for example, that's in your special education class 702, and that's a 10-hour field experience. And we'll refer to the mentor teacher evaluation form on the last pages of this document that have to be completed to document this field experience a little later in this video. Let's go to page 2 on the field experience documentation form. Page 2 of the field experience documentation form talks about planning ahead for your special education field experience. It is essential that you once again complete and document the required applied course assignments throughout your UST program. And this is important because when you apply for clinical practice, you want to make sure you've met all the requirements that you need for the breadth and depth of your field experience program requirements. So if you know at the beginning where you're going to be doing your clinical practice or your student teaching, fill that information here. What site, what grade level, what disability, what federal setting, so that you know that you'll have that experience. So for example, if you're going to do your clinical practice in a high school, you want to make sure you get some of those elementary and preschool experiences for sure completed before that time. You'll see here at the bottom of this second page of your field experience documentation form, it talks about the importance of making sure that you're getting the experience you need in the assignments that are embedded within courses. So you want to, as you go along, identify age group and disability categories you need to plan for, and make sure you're actively seeking out along the way those school settings that you need to meet the variety of requirements of your license. So these are some assignments that you can think about getting out there and making sure that you're meeting requirements. Remember, there's 40 hours, but there is over that in the amount of courses that you'll be doing. But you want to make sure along the way that in the following assignments that I talk about that you're meeting the requirements of elementary, middle, secondary. So the assignments that are field experiences include the Special Education 785 Behavior Management class, FBA assignment, where you conduct a functional behavior assessment and behavior intervention plan. You want to try to, if you're getting the autism license, to plan to do that with an individual with autism. And that's a 10-hour experience. In SPED 717, which is your elementary academic interventions, plan on doing an elementary experience there since that's the focus of that class. And that's an individualized reading assignment, and that's for 15 hours. The SPED 702 Social Skills Assessment Instructional Plan is where you need to plan to have a mentor teacher work with you in a school setting, either while you're teaching or observing, to fulfill the requirements of a applied supervised field experience. In SPED 703, which is another one of your autism courses, you'll be doing an assignment which is 10 hours of field experience, and in your literacy class for individuals with more moderate to severe needs, SPED 777, you'll be doing a literacy project. So plan out in advance how you're going to make sure at the end that you have all the experiences that you need. This is your responsibility. Let's talk about completing this form. So highlight in yellow the assignment you are documenting and any additional details about assignments, and I'll show you what that looks like in this form. If you see a green area, that's an area you have to fill in. Okay, and so as you go through, you're going to be asked to note age levels of students, school names, school districts, disability areas, and you need to make sure that you have that variety of experiences. Make sure you're saving your field experience assignments with your instructor's feedback on that. Many of those will go into the TK20 assessment system. There's a mentor-teacher evaluation form at the end of the experience, this field experience documentation form that must be signed, and you turn that in before you submit it to TK20 to your instructor for the course that it's assigned to. When you apply for clinical practice, you're going to upload this completed field experience documentation form. Now, another requirement, in addition to the age level and the disability, is there is a diversity requirements. And so as you go into each school, you want to note the diversity that's within that school. And you can find out the diversity of school buildings and settings by going to the website we have linked here and looking up the demographic data on the school you're doing your experiences in. And you'll note that as you go through it. It'll make more sense as we look at the next page. Okay, on the next form and each form after this, they will look pretty identical. The difference will be the age group. So here we see a requirement of the autism licenses that you work with children who are in early childhood birth to age 6. In the next column, you'll highlight in yellow the assignment that you did, an activity around that age group of students. So you'll see this student did the assignment 785, their FBA assignment on a child birth to age 6. You'll notice in the next column that it's noted that it was a student with autism and the severity level of that student was moderate. In the green, remember, you fill out the name of the school, the district and number, and the semester you took the course, and in the last column you note any diversity requirements that were met. Now let's say you did not have any of those assignments that are listed in the birth to 3. If you have an applied assignment that you worked with your course instructor or program director on to ensure that you had an assignment there, you would fill out the applied assignment that you did, that it would be an individualized assignment, and fill out this column to document that you have experienced early childhood to birth to age 6. You would do the same for each grade level. So the next is elementary, K to grades 5, 6. The next form would be middle school, grades 5, 6 to 8th. And the last would be secondary, grades 9 to age 21. Remember, each of these you must have an experience. So each of those must have a minimum of 1 experience. At the end of your special education field experience documentation form is your mentor-teacher evaluation form. Remember, you are required to do an experience where you have a mentor-teacher supervise and sign. You would fill out the top of this with your information, your name, your ID number, your license area, the course where the supervised experience is required, and the instructor of that course, the semester and year that you take that course, and then the grade level of the student you are doing your experience with, the mentor teacher's name and email, the school's name and address, and the district name. The instructions for the mentor teacher are found here. If possible, we'd like the mentor teacher to provide you, the candidate, a copy of an evaluation or a reevaluation report and an individualized education program plan so that you can learn more about the due process procedures. If this is a teaching experience, the mentor teacher will observe you teaching. If this is an observational experience, go ahead and observe, and then the two of you, the mentor teacher and yourself, will do some reflection and answer some questions so they can get a feel for your teaching. So the 4 domain areas you'll be rated on are plan and prepare, demonstrate rapport and respect for all learners, provide optimal learning environments, use strategies to engage all learners, and use self-reflection and feedback to analyze teaching effectiveness. So there's a series of questions that the mentor teacher and you can talk about in this experience. This is the rubric and what it looks like, and the mentor teacher will be rating you on a 4-point scale. 1, you require attention. 2, you're developing the skill. 3, you're proficient. 4, you're exemplary. So they will look at all of those areas and rate you. When they're done, they will verify the hours that you completed. Their role as a mentor teacher, whether they're a teacher or a co-teacher, a mentor or a coaching partner, a supervisor, administrator, or other. They will provide diversity information if they care to. That is optional, and they will sign. You then will fill in your host school information, and you can open the website provided here to figure out the demographics, and you'll provide the percentage of students of color, percentage of English language learners, the percentage of disabilities in the school, and the percentage of the free reduced lunch. And one of the things you have to consider is one of your field experiences must help you meet this diversity requirement of you have to work in a school where there's 50% students of color, you have to work in a school where there's 10% ELL, you have to work in a school where there's 10% exceptionalities, you have to work in a school that has 40% or more free and reduced lunch. And so you will note here if in your experiences along the way that you've met all these requirements, and then the summative by the course instructor of the course where the applied experience or supervised experience is required will mark off if you met or did not meet this requirement and sign this document. So a couple parting tips. Please start this at the beginning of your experience. If you get to clinical practice and you're ready to submit this and one of these experiences have not been met, you need to contact your program director. So for example, if you were in the autism program, you would contact Lynn Stansbury Bresnahan and set up an individualized experience so that you can meet the requirement that you are not currently meeting. All right, if you have any questions, you should email your program director. Have a great day.